Hey there, Danielle Matthews here. I am coming to you live from Florida. Today is Monday. It is book club day. I apologize. I've been traveling the last couple of weeks, and so book club was on hold, but we are in the midst of the yoga of relationships. If you are new to this, hop right in because literally every single chapter is a different conversation, will be insightful for you. If you are joining me live on book club, let me know when you get here. If you're catching the replay, let me know you're on the replay. We are on chapter 5 this week, and chapter 5 was called Loving Without Holding. And I thought it was pretty interesting, really. The conversation in this chapter was looking at how can we have more loving relationships, deeper relationships, more accepting relationships. And it's interesting. The answer is probably not what you're thinking. So we're going to dive right in. There's lots to talk about, and there's actually an exercise that we're going to do, which will hopefully help you understand the power that is inside of you, and we'll get to all of that. So thank you for letting me know that you're here, and let's kick it off. So he kind of started out with a comment that I thought was interesting. So consider for each of you, what weight would be lifted if you stopped holding someone else responsible for your happiness. I'm going to say it again. What would happen? What weight would be lifted if you stopped holding other people responsible for your own happiness? And he talks about how we very quickly blame other people, right? We can easily point the finger and say, well, they did this, and so now this has happened in my life, and it's made a situation that I don't like. And we can get upset about it. And he says, pointing out and blaming, a lot of times the blame and holding this other person accountable, being frustrated about them, can cause more inner conflict than the actual situation that was unfolded. And so he suggests, can you hold in your heart the idea to not blame anyone, even if they are to blame? Say you're in traffic, like obviously the person maybe that was texting on their phone while driving caused an accident. And so, yeah, very clearly it's their fault that there's traffic and that you were going to be late. But what if you just didn't blame them? What if you just accepted you were in traffic and went, okay, this is just what it is, without having to get angry at that person? Because the truth of the matter is, you getting angry at that person, blaming them for this situation, now you're late, you're going to have to reschedule a meeting, blah, 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 doesn't change the situation at all. Do they even know? In this scenario, do they even know that you're mad? No, it's just toxins within yourself. It's just creating a toxic internal environment where you were angry and your life force, your prana, is going to be utilized on that anger. And we're going to talk in a minute about what that life force, that prana, is actually meant to be used for. But when you blame other people and you're putting it externally, you're draining yourself of your life force, which most people, like society, would say, oh, you're justified to get angry. Oh, yeah, it is that person's fault. Whatever, it's fine to get angry at, the person that caused the traffic jam and, tell them to get it together, right? But the truth of the matter is, you have no idea what's going on in that person's life. You have no idea who they were texting, why the situation had to happen. Who knows? Maybe you being in that traffic prevented you from being in an accident down the road. Like, you just have no idea. And so he says, okay, try to not blame. Try to not create this internal conflict on top of already being in a situation you don't like. And that's easy, maybe, when it comes to traffic, right? You can kind of see that example. But same with at work, right? People are just doing the best they know how. So you might be angry with your coworker because they said they were going to do something, they didn't do it, whatever. They've caused a situation where now you look silly, and the truth of the matter is the situation has already occurred. So you getting angry and blaming them isn't really going to accomplish much. And so he gives these examples, but then he says the key is application of this concept in your relationships. So I asked all of you at the start of the book, to think about a relationship dynamic that you were having difficulty with right now. Or maybe it's changed since we started, and think about that relationship. So the key here would be to focus on not blaming the other person for the situations that are coming and just releasing that internally. And he says, when the focus can then become understanding your own reaction to situations, things change. So it is very easy to think, well, my spouse didn't clean. They didn't do the dishes. They said they were going to do the dishes, and then they didn't do the dishes, and the dishes are still dirty. And now on top of everything else I've had to do today, I got to go do the dishes. right? And it's very easy to go and blame and get angry. And what he says is stop for a minute and reflect on the situation that's unfolded and ask, why am I even angry? All right? This might be a little bit difficult to wrap your head around, but you're having a reaction to the situation, and it feels very easy to blame and dump anger on someone else. But the truth of the matter is, you could also look at the dishes and go, oh, I get to go put my hands in some warm water and bubbles for a little while and clean up the kitchen. Great, right? You could have a different internal response to it. And so check on what is actually being triggered. Is it that you're not listened to? If you don't feel respected? What is actually being triggered? Because that's really why you're angry. And so just blaming and dumping on the person about the dishes, it's like, that's really not what this is about, you know? And you need to have that inner reflection. And so he says, if we use, this is on the bottom of page 35, if we use the external relationship as a vehicle to transform our internal connection with ourselves, everything will transform. Basically, he's saying, allow what's triggering you to be your teacher, to teach you what inside of you needs to be transformed, right? If it's that, well, I'm never heard, no one ever listens to me. Okay, maybe situations are coming where that's what's being felt, but there's something inside of you that's holding on to that. Maybe you don't feel good enough. Maybe you don't feel worthy. Maybe you don't feel like you're enough. Whatever that is where you need to work. And the external situations are just revealing it to you. And our people in our lives, in our relationships, are really good at hitting our buttons. They're very good button pushers, right? The people that are closest to us, they push the buttons the best. And it's because we're in such close dynamics with them that we're able to get triggered. And a lot of times our loved ones know our triggers, right? And maybe we don't know them as well. But every opportunity, every situation that unfolds where you get agitated, rather than blaming the other person, dumping on the other person, stop and go, why am I agitated? What is it that is unsettled within me? And he says this is how you can use external relationships, the dynamics in your everyday life and the people that you love most, as a vehicle to transform your inner world. Because when you can deeply understand yourself and you can release these unsolved things within yourself of not feeling good enough and blah, 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 when you can work on that, then you're not going to get triggered. Then you're not going to have these dynamics unfolding in your relationships, okay? This is the key that opens the door to then being able to truly get close to people and to truly have deep connection and deep relationships. You can only meet another person as deep as you've met yourself. And so you need to deeply meet yourself and understand yourself before you can expect anyone else to understand you. And it's certainly not someone else's job to fix you. It's your job to fix you. And so you can use these triggers as teaching moments. Put a 5 in the chat. High five me if you're with me. Like, this is big. That was just page 1 of the chapter. All right. But that's a big deal. And so he then started to talk about something he called deficiency consciousness, which he basically says, in our consciousness, good, people are with me, fives, good. Fear, greed, attachment, a lot of these emotions and thoughts cause us to perceive things like, I am not good enough, all right? To believe I don't have enough, to feel limited internally. And maybe yours isn't about I'm not enough, but insert whatever it is for you. We're going to use the example of I'm not enough, right? And so what he says is that what we want is from the other person. This is where it gets tricky. I'll just read this and then we'll talk about it. He says, what we want is symbolic of our need for attention, validation of their love, a device to determine their fidelity or conversely trust in us. Such subtle needs behind apparent demands, right? That need to feel I'm enough. I want you to show me that I'm enough. I need you to tell me that I'm enough, right? These are subtle demands that we have behind, subtle needs that we have behind our demands that are beyond the grasp of the person who is in front of us, that we are in a relationship with. And so how can the one who is supposed to fulfill them conceive of the other's underlying needs? It's a game in which there are no winners. He says even the best psychologists and psychiatrists sometimes can't know what the hidden thing is that you're really asking for. Why are you really angry about the dishes not getting done? right? What's really there? You cannot expect your partner to know, even if you don't understand it yourself. Like, why are you getting irrationally upset about this? There's something there. It has nothing to do with the dishes, right? And that's where it is to work on. And to expect your partner to figure that out for you is ridiculous, okay? It is absolutely ridiculous. And so he says, well, let me ask you, do you notice yourself trying to get someone else to fill the void inside of you? I think this is why people fall in love at the beginning. It's like, oh, you love me even when I don't even love all parts of me. And that feels great. We kind of depend on the other to do that. But the truth is you can never depend on anything external from you 100%. You have to lean within. All right, you got to find it within. So he says, try this exercise. And I just want you all to be truthful with yourselves for a moment. Try this exercise to see if you receive what you want from another. If you consistently ask someone else to love you, ask yourself, do I love myself consistently? So if you are upset that another person is not loving you consistently, or you're desperately wanting someone else to love you consistently, reflect on, do I love myself consistently? What does that look like? Do I honor my body? Do I listen to what it's needing? Do I give myself nourishing food? Do I give myself what I need in a day, a proper amount of doing and being and exercise and whatever? Am I really loving myself? All aspects of me. If you want someone to always trust you, examine whether you trust your own decisions all the time. How can somebody else trust you if you don't even trust you? Why is someone else going to respect you if you don't even respect you? Right? Whatever you're asking for, you got to give it to yourself first. If you want someone else to accept you, you need to accept yourself. Simple but profound. He says, what you cannot give to yourself is impossible for someone else to give to you. It is all about the inner relationship. And so this is the key to the external relationships. The yoga of relationships is all about saying, hey, when you better understand yourself internally, you're going to be able to have a better external relationship with anyone around you. All right? That's what it's all about. He says, that realization comes from either frustration or from an understanding. It comes from frustration when we say, that's enough of that relationship. And we start looking for a replacement, thinking the enough had to do with the other person. But when the enough comes from realizing that it is emanating from inside, then we can begin to change ourselves and our distorted perspective. So, why did I want to read that to you? A lot of times we feel, and we will end relationships because we will say, well, they're not doing enough. They didn't love me enough. They didn't accept me enough. They are the problem. And guess what? You're going to go and you're going to get into another relationship, and the dynamics as you get closer together and the masks come off and your true personalities come out, you're going to see the same exact patterns, right? Why do people get married, divorce, married, divorce, married, divorce, and wonder, how do I keep marrying the same person? Right? Because they're marrying themselves again and again and again and again. It's your own stuff, all right? You cannot expect the other person to give all of this to you. You've got to learn to give it to yourself. It is impossible for the other person to make you feel enough or to ever give you enough. You've got to give it within yourself, all right? And it all starts and ends with you. This is about radical responsibility, okay? Because when you change yourself, the world changes with you. And so it's really learning about that inner dynamic within yourself. Your triggers, your buttons, why are they getting pushed, what's going on? All right, so what and this probably surprised some of you, where we then went in the chapter, he says, to begin to know yourself, you have to understand the body-mind complex. We have so many gifts that we have in our body that we don't appreciate. He points out, he says, you wake up every day and you don't appreciate your legs and that you can walk. But someone that's broken both of their legs and been in a wheelchair, they appreciate the fact that they can walk. There are so many gifts we are given in our body that until the body stops or shuts down or we get an illness, we don't appreciate. There's so much to be grateful for on a daily basis. He says we first mainly need to start appreciating and understanding our body. Most of us are incredibly disconnected from our own body that we live in. And most importantly, the breath. And what he says, so prana in Sanskrit means your breath, your life force, okay? And what is the other word? Ayama means to extend. So pranayama is extending your life force, extending your breath. And so what he walks us into is actually something to learn how to connect the life force inside of you and allow it to grow, to realize the power that's in there. Remember at the beginning I said, a lot of times when we blame and we get upset with the people around us, we are expelling our life force and it's just going to nothing. We're trying to change something that's already occurred, right? The accident is already here. The dishes are already not done. Like, why are we getting upset about something that's already present? We're just spending it. Think about it like you have a pile of money, like a jar of coins, and you only have so much life force to spend on things. And if you just keep spending it in your mind and your emotions and your triggers, you're going to spend all your money. Well, guess what? That money is also supposed to digest your food. That money is also what you spend to heal your body. That money is also what animates your breath and your body, right? So you can see how, if you are expelling all of that money externally, you're going to get sick because your body now doesn't have what it needs to heal internally and to keep you well because you've expelled it decades and decades and decades externally. And so now the body's depleted. So we want to bring more life force back into the body. We want you to master your prana, your life force energy. And that is, when we say your inner relationship, understanding yourself, understanding your prana is huge. It's like one of the biggest pieces. He says, for reference, we're on page 39. Pranayama refers to breath techniques used to move into deeper and subtler layers of tension. It's also used to keep the mind steady as we encounter psychic, mental, and emotional boundaries like fear, resistance, criticism, and doubt. So when you master your breath and you master prana, your life force, you will be able to use it and leverage it in situations where you become fearful, where you notice resistance, where you notice criticism, where you have doubt. When you see that happening, you're going to learn how to be able to move past those psychic, mental, emotional blocks. All right? When we breathe, relax, and let go, our attention is disengaged from that reaction. You can only focus on one thing. So we can either focus on the emotion or we can focus on the breath. This is the power that's here. It seems so simple. Breathing? Really? Yeah, breathing. Really. It can change everything. So the breath becomes a tool for you to remain fully present in the moment. So you don't get pulled by your triggers. You don't get pulled by your reactions. You breathe, you bring the attention to the breath, and all that other stuff just becomes like clouds passing in the sky, right? And your breath brings you back to the steadiness. Is this making sense? So that's why I was reading this and I was like, woo, this is probably an unexpected turn that this chapter took for a lot of people. So we can see that stress in the body or fear in the mind instantly alters our breath. What happens when you're scared? You draw your breath in, right? What happens when we're stressed? It's really short, rapid breathing, okay? So the converse is true. So if our mental state impacts our breath, you can flip it and you can say, well, then our breath can impact our mental state. If I learn to master my breath, I can use it as the doorway to master my mental state. Charlotte says, yeah, it works. It does work. It does work. Consciously changing your breath patterns can release you from a lot, all right? The movement of prana directly corresponds to the mental and emotional conditions that impact and control them. The moment we operate from unconscious emotional reactions or self-destructive thoughts, prana begins to carry out whatever thoughts or emotions we're assuming. It just follows where we tell it to go. So if it's into anger, well, prana is going to feed the anger and it's just going to start spending money in the anger and you're going to get more and more angry, all right? Or we can focus it on the breath. And when we breathe, prana focuses on the breath. All of a sudden, we're going to reset the nervous system. We're going to get calmer and calmer and calmer. And the money's going to go to healing, healing, healing. Where do you want to spend your money? You know what I mean? Yes, exactly, Lou. Control what you can control. And the key is you can control this. You can control your breath, which impacts your mental, emotional state, which will impact how you react in every given situation, moment by moment, with each person you're interacting with, which will change every relationship you have. It sounds so simple, but it's huge. Bodhi's over here making noise. He agrees. It's his birthday today. So he just turned 7. All right. So where attention goes, energy flows. This is the first tool to master in your inner world. All right. And this summary, I'm just going to read this summary and then I'm going to walk you through a technique. He says, unconsciously used prana is self-destructive. Think about that. You're just getting angry. You're yelling at somebody and blaming somebody else. You're using your prana to just run into a wall because you can't change what's already here. It's already happened. So unconsciously using prana, spending it externally, it's self-destructive because now you have nothing for yourself. It creates psychological and emotional stress. Would you agree? Which is our inability to recognize prana's relationship to our body, mind, heart, and soul. We don't realize that what we're doing is actually hurting ourselves. People don't teach us this. Now you're being taught. So now you know. And you will not waste your life force energy in that way anymore. The knowledge of prana's role in every expression and experience of life gives us deep insight into how to use all the levels of our being harmoniously, thus connecting with the infinite source of creativity available to us. All right. So the most obvious thing is our breath. All right. And we don't understand that what we feed, we create more of. All right. And what we ignore, we starve. And so I want you to start to understand. We're going to do a little exercise so you can see how prana moves and how your life force energy follows your awareness. All right. So we're going to do this little exercise. So what I need you to do is to sit up straight. You can either sit on a chair with your feet on the floor, or you can sit cross-legged wherever you are, but you need to sit up straight, okay? And we're going to first start with what's called the ujjayi breath. Those of you in my mastery community, I just taught you this on Thursday, but think about like fogging a mirror. So if you were to hold a mirror up in front of you and you'd make that, right, you make that sound to fog a mirror, you kind of restrict the back of your throat when you do it. You with me? It makes a little bit of a sound like an ocean, they say. I don't know if you can hear that. So that's ujjayi breath. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a couple of minutes to focus our breath in this way. All right? So close your eyes and keep your eyes closed. Sitting up nice and tall, we're going to start with the ujjayi breath. So just inhaling through the nose. Exhaling like you're fogging a mirror, constricting the back of the throat. Slowing down the release of prana. Inhaling through the nose. Continuing at your own speed, not forcing. Being aware of the breath, inhaling through the nose and exhaling in this way through a slightly constricted throat. The mind wanders, come back to the breath. The mind's jumping in, wondering how long you're going to do this or if you're doing it right. Just observe it, but don't feed it. Keep the attention on the breath. Staying present and connected. Nothing to do but focus on the breath. Now I want you to bring your awareness to the solar plexus, allowing your breath to just move into whatever feels comfortable. The breath breathing itself, and bringing your attention to the solar plexus, to your power center. I want you to see a fire in your belly. See this energy glowing. And now visualize that energy moving up, moving out through both of your arms and into your hands. Feel that warmth. Feel that energy. Feel it in the palms and the fingers. Feel them vibrant. Feel them glowing with this life force energy, full of prana. And just continue concentrating on that tingling energy flowing into your hands until you feel them being moved by the growing intensity of prana. Do not expect anything to happen. If your hands don't move, don't judge. Just relax and allow the energy to build here. You may feel them pulsing, gently moving. Sometimes you might need to raise your hands very gently, letting your hands just move up so your palms are facing one another. Keeping awareness there, moving slowly. Very slowly bring your hands closer together. Palms towards the other palm. Notice the energy that you feel here. Moving slowly. Giving permission to just let go and let the hands move, letting prana move them. Gently bringing them apart and back together till you feel this ball of energy between them. Letting it move them, and if it's not, just observing. The key is to concentrate on the prana and just observe. It's barely imperceptible. You can barely perceive it. And now bringing the palms down by your sides, you can open your eyes. And I'd love to hear in the chat what you felt. So energy follows attention. Did you notice, could you feel when you put attention on your belly and on that glowing prana and energy, could you feel it come up and into the hands? Did you maybe feel more heat? Did anyone feel more heat in their hands? Did anyone feel pulsing or tingling? Let me come back here. Did anyone feel their hands moving on their own? When you get very still, you can try this on your own, you'll start to feel, at least for myself, it almost feels like there's a magnet. And it feels like this movement. And it's like right now I'm consciously moving my hands. But before it was like they were kind of doing their own thing as they were almost feeling, it felt almost like there was a ball of energy between there. So I'm seeing hands tingling. I felt like I wanted to put my hands together. Yeah, absolutely. There was tingling and pulsing. Yes. I want to put my hands together before you even said to. Yeah. Follow, and that's the idea of following prana. Prana has an intelligence. And if you can drop your mind, your energy body can do a lot. It can carry out a lot of healing. This is what I teach in the mastery program in yoga therapy. We teach you how to drop the mind so that this energy that you just felt is freed up to carry out the healing from within in ways that your conscious mind cannot do. That energy, yep, Charlotte says I felt like a ball. Yeah, that's your life force. okay? And it can do so much. It can digest your food, it can heal your body, but it can also be wasted externally. Okay, Lou says, I felt the ball of energy between. Jane says, I felt a strong aliveness in my hands, tingling, really strong energy between my hands. They didn't want to get close. Yeah, sometimes it's like you can't bring them close because it feels like it's almost pushing you back because there's so much energy there. It's a beautiful thing to play with. If you get real quiet, I mean, I'm telling you, all of a sudden I've had it where it's like my arms don't feel like they're mine anymore. Like my muscles aren't engaged, but it's moving. Does that make sense? So this is the power that is inside of you. This is what the whole point of this chapter was, to bring you to realize, look, this prana, this life force is inside of you, and you are not using it intelligently. You are using it to yell at people and to get upset and to feel judgment on yourself and whatever. You are wasting it. This life force prana can do so much more. First of all, it can heal you. So if your physical body is not in a good state, we need to get rid of the mind chatter and allow this energy to be freed up so it can go into the body. But it can do so much more. So I'm just gonna finish out by reading the end of this. He says, to enjoy what we already have is the most difficult thing to do. To be attracted to what we don't have is the easiest thing to do. Would you agree? We don't even appreciate what we have. We just, I need that, I need that, I need that. I get the car, I get the job, I get this amount of money, blah, 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 I'll be fine. The most difficult is digesting what we have achieved so we are happy and satisfied. To become disenchanted and ungrateful for what we already have is an easy trap. Happens to a lot of us. If we are not happy now in the present moment, no matter what we attain, we will never be satisfied because we're looking to fill a void out here with something when really it's in here we're needing to fill. We will go on postponing happiness, looking for more and the right person to make it happen. This is the ego trying to conquer, control, and manage everything in such a way that it's always in command, that it always gets what it wants. It keeps telling you, you just get this, then we'll be happy. You get there and then it says, no, just this, and then we'll be happy. When we have no need to control, defend, or get more, then we can be happy. This is a very attractive quality and one that makes others want to be around us. It's like a magnet. People are drawn to those who are content and glowing with well-being, and repelled by those who are discontent, downtrodden, and depressed. When you master this internal energy, when you realize everything is in here, you stop getting pulled out, you stop getting distracted, you stop using your life force and all this silly stuff externally, and you bring it internal, and you allow that to go in and heal those things like the feelings of not being good enough, etc., and you get filled up, it is magnetic. People will say, I don't understand why people are so attracted to you. I don't understand why people are so connected to you. I don't understand this, that, and the other thing. It's like you're glowing. Yeah, it's that life force. It's that thing that you can just barely perceptively feel that I just taught you through that exercise. That is what literally acts as a magnet pulling other people to you because the energy of others recognizes it. And it's like, I want to be a glowing fire of that energy as well. All right, and that becomes more attractive. It also makes relationships a lot easier, and it's just the best. So this week, we are going to read chapter 6. It's all about self-awareness, which is perfect. So that's on page 43 to page 54. If you've got any questions, Telegram is up. I am now here again, so thanks for being patient as book club had to get put on hold for a little while. And we will discuss things over on Telegram, and I will see you next Monday. No more travels for a while, so Mondays it'll be. All right, bye guys.